Hello students and welcome in today's session. Today we are going to see your chapter number 4's second part, that is nothing but the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Before this we have seen the physical properties of metals and non-metals, how they are different from each other with the physical properties, right? Now in chemical properties we are going to see the how metals reacts with the oxygen, how non-metals show the reaction with oxygen, what is the reaction of metal and non-metal with the water, right? How they will react with the acid, base. These all things we are studying in the chemical properties of metals and non-metals, right? Now let's start our today's topic, chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Now in chemical properties of metals, one example is given of the rust of iron, right? So all of you are familiar with what is mean by rust of iron, right? Whenever iron reacts with the water and oxygen, right? Iron when reacts with the oxygen and water, then the rust is formed, right? Another example is given of burning a magnesium ribbon in air, right? Magnesium, it is shown by Mg, right? Capital M small g. Mg means magnesium. Burning, whenever anything burns in the air, means it will use the oxygen from the air. So plus oxygen. So this burning of a magnesium ribbon in the air is shown by this equation. And this equation is there, iron plus oxygen plus water. It shows the iron get rusted in presence of water and oxygen. So the product of this reaction is the ferrous oxide, that is nothing but the rust, and the product of this reaction will be magnesium oxide, that magnesium oxide, magnesium plus oxygen gives magnesium oxide. Let's see this. When metal reacts with the oxygen to form metallic oxide, if the metal is a magnesium, then it will form magnesium oxide. If the metal is iron, then it will form iron oxide. So whatever the metal is there, this word will be replaced with the name of the metal and particular that oxide will be formed. So whenever any metal reacts with oxygen, it forms metallic oxides, right? Now if we see the oxides, what are their nature? Either they are basic in nature or the acidic in nature. Then mostly all these oxides are basic in nature. Basic oxides are there, right? Because they react with water to form a base. Example is given, Mg plus O2 gives NgO. Now in this oxygen here O2 is there. Two molecules of oxygens are there, right? So one oxygen is used to form MgO. One oxygen is remaining. So for that second oxygen, one more Mg is required. So we have written here 2 Mg, right? So now we have 2 atoms of magnesium and 2 atoms of oxygen, O2. Oxygen's one molecule means 2 atoms of oxygen. So one magnesium atom plus one oxygen atom gives magnesium oxide, MgO. Like that, 2 molecules of MgO we are getting in this reaction. And whenever we will add water in this, right, magnesium oxide, whenever it is dissolved in the water, means water is added, then magnesium hydroxide is formed, MgOH twice, right? So this magnesium hydroxide is formed. So with this you can check the nature of the oxide, whatever it is, right? So this is what the reaction of the metal with oxygen. See in your textbook. So this is what it is asked, what is the answer. So Fe plus O2 plus H2O gives rust, right? And magnesium plus oxygen gives magnesium oxide. Below that activity is given. So in this activity you are going to check the nature of the rust. So for that you have to collect the rust. See the result of the reaction between the iron, oxygen and water, right? That is nothing but a rust. Rust is formed from this reaction. So you have to collect the spoonful of rust dissolve this rust in the little amount of water, right? So water is added into the rust. Then you will find that the rust remains suspended in the water. It may not get settled down, right? So you have to shake it well so that the solution will be formed of the rust, right? So it will react with the water. Then whatever the solution will be formed, this solution you have to test with the red and the blue litmus paper, right? This you have learned, red litmus paper and blue litmus paper last year, right? So this will be used to check the nature of the substance, right? So whatever the observations are there, that will decide either the solution is acidic or basic in a nature, right? So you can see here in the picture it is said this is the rust. Whenever we will add water in the rust, it will give the solution of the rust, and when we take this rust solution in the petri dish and we will add red litmus paper into it, it will convert into a blue, and whenever we will add blue litmus paper with this solution, then it will remain blue only, right? So what this indicates that whenever a red litmus paper converts into the blue, so this indicates that the nature of that solution is basic, right? Blue litmus paper remains blue and red litmus paper becomes blue. This means the nature of that solution is basic, right? So here we can confirm that the metals, whenever oxides are formed, metal oxides are formed, they are basic in nature, right? See here in the slide, oxides are basic oxides because they react with water to form a base. So all the oxides are there, metal oxides are there, they are basic in nature, and that we have tested with the litmus paper. Now what about the non-metals? When non-metal reacts with the oxygen, they form non-metallic oxides, right? Means suppose sulfur is a non-metal, right? Whenever this sulfur reacts with the oxygen, then it will form sulfur dioxide. 2 atoms of oxygen is there, so it is sulfur dioxide. So it is non-metallic oxide. Sulfur oxide is formed, right? So in this way, whenever non-metal reacts with oxygen, they form non-metallic oxides. Now what is the nature of these non-metals oxide? It is opposite to the metals one. If the metals are basic, then they are acidic oxides. Means here the red litmus paper remains red and blue litmus paper becomes red, right? So these non-metal oxides are acidic in nature, right? When they react with the water, they form acids. That's why acidic taste will be present over. They shows the acidic nature. Example is given here. When the sulfur burns in air to form sulfur dioxide. Burning in air means, I already said, whenever something burns in the air, means for the burning they are utilizing the oxygen from the air. Means automatically that substance reacting with the oxygen, right? This is what? Nothing but the burning in the air, right? So whenever sulfur reacts with the oxygen while burning, it forms sulfur dioxide, right? When the sulfur dioxide reacts with the water, then it forms the sulfurous acid. Sulfurous, ROUS, see that, right? Sulfurous acid, and sulfurous acid's formula is H2SO3, right? Because H2SO4 if it comes, then it will become the sulfuric, RIC, right? SULPHURIC, sulfuric acid means H2SO4. But here it is H2SO3 is there. Formula is H2SO3. One oxygen is less, and that's why it is a sulfurous acid, right? SO2, whatever SO2 is formed here, oxide of the sulfur, that is when reacts with the water, it forms H2SO3, 2 oxygen this and one more this will comes together as a O3. This sulfur is here and this two hydrogens will be here. So H2SO3, right? So it is sulfurous acid. So here we can understand that non-metals gives acids whenever they will be reacts with the water. Oxides of non-metals whenever reacts with the water, they forms the acid. On the next page in your textbook, one more box is given. This is given for your extra information. Here the example is given of the copper vessel which are there at home, right? So copper is also a kind of a metal, right? So whatever the vessels are made up of copper means it is a metal. When these copper vessels is exposed to the moist air for a long time. Now the moist air means it contains moisture, right? So moisture contains means it has water molecules and air means it has oxygen. So the copper vessels means copper plus water plus oxygen. So whenever these three comes together for a long time, we can see that there is a formation of a dull green color coating on that copper vessel, right? Now what is this green material? This green color material is nothing but a mixture of copper hydroxide. What is that green color substance? It is nothing but copper hydroxide. Formula for copper hydroxide is copper Cu means copper, hydroxide OH, two molecules will be there, right? So CuOH twice. So this is the formula for copper hydroxide. Now along with the copper hydroxide there is a copper carbonate, right? Now copper Cu formula is here and carbonate's formula is CO3. CuCO3 means copper carbonate. So copper hydroxide plus copper carbonate is formed. Now here below that reaction is given how this copper vessel whenever it is exposed to the moist air, how the copper hydroxide and copper carbonate is formed. See here copper plus H2O means water. CO2 is also present in the air, carbon dioxide gas and oxygen is also present. So this water, oxygen and carbon dioxide together it is named as moist air, right? So whenever this copper is exposed to the moist air, these molecules go on reacting with each other and forms the copper hydroxide, right? Now here you can see that copper, hydrogens, two molecules and one oxygen from the water molecule and one you can consider from the oxygen molecule, that is single O. So 2H and 1, two oxygens comes together OH twice, right? Two molecules of OH comes with the copper. One molecule of copper with two molecules of OH gives the copper hydroxide. Now one more copper is here because we have written here 2Cu, right? So another second copper atom is there. It will come with the CO2 is there. This CO2 plus remaining one oxygen is there from this oxygen atom because one oxygen we have given here, right? And remaining one oxygen will mix with the CO2. So here it becomes CO3. These two and this one. So it will form the 3. CO3. So CuCO3. Like that copper carbonate is formed. So this will forms the green coating on the copper vessel. So this is how the reaction of the metal with oxygen or with the moist air. So iron whenever reacts with the moist air it get rusted, right? So reddish color rust is formed. Like that copper whenever exposed to the moist air it also get rusted and this greenish color substance is get deposited on the surface of copper vessel, right? So this is what about given a metal. Now see here magnesium ribbons burning activity is there. So whenever we will burn the magnesium ribbon in the air, right? So burning means automatically it is reacting with the oxygen, Mg plus O2, right? Ash is obtained and that ash is nothing but magnesium oxide. This magnesium ribbon is dissolved, ash of the magnesium ribbon is there. It will be dissolved in the water and tested for its acidic or basic nature. Already we have seen that whenever we will test the oxides of the metals, they will be basic in nature only, because whenever these oxides of metals reacts with water, they forms the base, right? So for that base test is given here. The red litmus turns blue, means oxide of magnesium is basic in nature, right? Whenever the red becomes blue, red litmus paper becomes blue, then it is basic in nature, right? And suppose the blue litmus paper becomes red, then definitely it will be acidic in nature, right? So in general sentence we can say that metallic oxides are basic in nature. So whatever the metals oxide will be there, they will be overall basic in nature, right? Most of the metals are there, they will give the basic, they are in the basic in nature, right? All the metallic oxides are basic in nature. So it is not only limited with the magnesium or with the iron or with the copper. So this is applicable to each and every metals oxide, right? So metallic oxides are basic in nature, right? Next activity is given in your textbook, that take a small amount of powdered sulfur, right, in a defragrating spoon, right, and heat it. This spoon is if not available, then you have to take a metallic cap of the bottle, right? Wrap a metallic wire around it and give a shape, how it is shown in the figure, like that, in this way, right? So your spoon will be ready. Now what you have to do? You have to take the sulfur, right, in that. Whenever this sulfur start burning, right, introduce this spoon into a jar, glass jar, right, tumbler, and you have to cover that tumbler. Once it is covered with the lid, then whatever the gas will be produced, this will be remain in the jar only. It will not go out. The gas which is produced will not escape, right? Now once this burning process get over, means we have burned sulfur, means sulfur is reacted with the oxygen to form sulfur dioxide gas. So whatever gas is formed over, it is sulfur dioxide gas, right? Once this gas is formed, then what we have to do? We have to just add a small amount of water in this jar and just shake it well, right? So whenever you will shake it, this sulfur dioxide gas is there, it will mix with the water and the solution will be formed, right? So this solution, whenever you will taste with the litmus paper, then we will find that the blue litmus paper becomes red, right? And red will remain the red only. So this shows that the nature of this substance is acidic in nature, right? The reaction related to this already I have shown. You can see here the litmus paper, actually this is red one, so red remains red only, right? And this is the blue litmus paper. Here you can see back side, so it will show you the color of the litmus paper, that is blue. But as you kept this blue litmus paper into this solution, it converts into the red. So as the blue litmus paper becomes red, means this solution is acidic in nature, right? So whatever the reaction is related to that, this I have already shown you. Once again I will show you. See, sulfur, burning of the sulfur gives sulfur dioxide. When this sulfur dioxide gas is formed in that vessel, we have added water in that. So this will forms the sulfurous acid, H2SO3 acid, and as it is acid, the nature of this is acidic in nature, which will be checked with the litmus paper, right? Below this in your textbook, table number 4.4 is given, metal and non-metal in acids and bases, right? So here you have to write the name of a base, and in that base what is the metal, right? Name of the acid, and in that what is a non-metal, because you know that non-metals gives the acid, or they are forming acid, right? And metals gives base. So whatever the name of the base you will write over there. So from that what is the metal you have to write here, identify the metal and write here, and whatever the acid you will write here. From that non-metal you have to identify and write here. Example is given here, calcium hydroxide. It is the name of a basic compound, right? So from in this basic compound the metal is a calcium. So the metal is calcium is written here. Sulfuric acid, right? So in the sulfuric acid non-metal is a sulfur, right? Now another example, if I want to give you, the base is sodium hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide, if I will say, though in that metal will be definitely hydroxide, means sodium hydroxide it is, right? So the metal is sodium, right? Another name of acid if I want to give, then I will give the hydrochloric acid, HCl, right? So in that hydrochloric acid the non-metal will be chlorine. So in this way the list of bases and the acids you have to write, and from that the metals and non-metals you have to mention over here. Complete this table, click a picture and send me, right? See here, same it is given in your textbook. Name the product formed in the reaction of sulfur and oxygen is sulfur dioxide gas. So whenever we burn the sulfur dioxide gas is formed. When the sulfur dioxide gas is dissolved with the water, sulfurous acid is formed. Reaction is given. Sulfur dioxide plus water gives H2SO3. Sulfurous acid is formed, right? Sulfurous acid turns blue litmus paper red, means this forms the oxide which is formed is acidic in nature. So in general we can say that generally non-metals are acidic in nature, right? So this is what the reaction of the metal and non-metal with oxygen. So this is what your first part, reaction with oxygen, A portion, reaction with oxygen. So reaction with oxygen of metal and reaction with oxygen of non-metal. Both will form the oxides, but the metal oxides are basic in nature and non-metal oxides are acidic in nature. This is what you have to remember. Now the B portion is there. Reaction with water. What will takes place when the metals reacts with the water and when non-metal reacts with the water? See here, the box is given. Sodium metal, as it is a metal, sodium is a metal, is a very reactive, means it shows a vigorous, very fast reaction with the water, right? It reacts vigorously with the oxygen and water, reacts with both very vigorously, very fast, very loudly. A lot of heat is generated in this reaction and therefore stored in the kerosene. So based on this, 1 or 2 mark question will be asked, right? Whatever the box is given, based on this 1 or 2 mark question will be asked. Why we should store sodium in the kerosene, right? So for that give reasons, like question will be there. Now why we have to store the sodium metal in a kerosene? Now the thing is that sodium is highly reactive, right? And it shows reaction with the oxygen as well as with the water. So if you keep the sodium as it is in the air, right, or in any container, so that may also contains the air, and in the air oxygen is there, so definitely this sodium will show the vigorous reaction with the oxygen, and in this reaction huge amount of heat is produced, means it will blast, right? Blast will takes place. So that's why we can't keep open sodium in the air, right? The second thing it is said that sodium also shows a vigorous reaction with the water, means if you keep the sodium in water, then also it will react with water very vigorously and huge amount of heat is produced, means it shows a blast, right? So this is why we can't store sodium as it is in a container, or we can't keep it in a water, and that's why we are storing sodium in a kerosene, because sodium does not react with kerosene. How it reacts with the oxygen and water, like that same reaction we cannot see with the kerosene. That's why sodium is stored in the kerosene, right? Now related to this I want to share one thing. Must be you have seen somewhere that some of the magicians are there, right? And they do magic, right? Om Bhat Swaha they are doing, and whenever they do something like that, and in front of them a container of water will be there big, and they will just make a fire in the water, right? What they do? Om Bhat Swaha, and a huge fire will come from the water, means water is burning. So what is that? Is that water really burning? Do they have such power so they can burn water also? No, this is the science, right? So what they do? They take a sodium metal, right? And you know that sodium reacts very vigorously with the water and oxygen, right? So whenever they say that Om Bhat Swaha, that time they just throw a piece of sodium in the water, right? And whenever water and sodium come in contact with each other, huge amount of heat is produced, and that makes the fire. And what all of we are thinking? Yes, Baba is very great, very powerful. Namaskar, right? This is not any kind of magic, right? Chamatkar. It is science, right? So keep this in mind. We have to store kerosene in we have to store sodium metal in a kerosene. This is what the reason. 2 marks question will be asked on this. See the next in textbook. Activity 4.5 is given. In that, see, you have to take 250 ml beaker or glass tumbler, half filled of it with the water. Take a small piece of sodium metal, dry it using filter paper, wrap it in a small piece of cotton, right? And put that sodium piece wrapped in a cotton into a beaker, right? Then you have to observe it carefully. Now what we observe, what happens here when we keep the sodium in that beaker, you can see here, right? As soon as the sodium enters into the water, it will start reacting with the water and fire is formed here. Yes, so this the same thing happen. Sodium reacts with the water and huge amount of heat is generated over here. See here, sodium reacts vigorously with the water, right? Here sodium is a metal, but as the sodium reacts very vigorously with the water, is that the same all metals reacts very vigorously with the water? No, it's not compulsory, because we have seen iron example also. Iron is also a metal. Iron reacts with the water. It shows reaction with the water, but it is very slowly. So it's not compulsory that all metals reacts with water very vigorously. Yes, but they reacts with the water. Now what about the non-metals? Non-metals do not react with the water, though they may be very reactive in air, right? Some of the non-metals are very reactive in air, means they shows a vigorous reaction in air, but they will not show any reaction with water, right? And such metals are there which shows a high, or those who are highly reactive in air but they are not reacting with the water. Such non-metals are stored in the water. Now which are these non-metals? Example is given, phosphorus. Phosphorus is a very reactive non-metal, right? It reacts very vigorously with air, right? It catches fire if it is exposed to air, right? And to avoid this, avoid the contact of a phosphorus with the air, phosphorus is stored in a water. Yes, whatever we have seen about the sodium, that sodium is highly reactive with water as well as in air, right? That's why we are storing it in a kerosene. Like that, phosphorus is a non-metal, right? So it shows highly vigorous reaction with air, means with oxygen. There also, whenever it will come in contact with the oxygen, it start burning, right? But it does not show the reaction with the water. So in this case, we can store this non-metal in water. So remember, phosphorus we can store in water, and sodium, which is a metal, we store in kerosene, right? Now related to this, I would like to share something, right? How many of you are believing about the ghost? Some may be saying that ghost is there in that village, I have seen the ghost. Someone will say that ghost is living on a big tree, banyan tree, on the tree they are living. Someone will say that in my village, wherever the peoples are just buried in that area, right? We can see the ghost. Even I also heard that they have their own rallies, own market, right? And at night they are roaming with the mashals, right? So must be you also have heard this, right? Maybe the elder peoples have shared this such kind of interesting stories with you. Must be they also have experienced, they also have seen the ghost is there roaming with mashal, right? Is that true? I don't think that it is true. Now must be whatever your elderly person from your village has said a story to you, that they have seen at night, midnight, someone is there roaming in that smashan bhumi with the smashal or fire, and they have seen this picture from their village, from their house, right? Or from the balcony, right? But was it true? Yes, it was true, right? But what was actually that? This was not something kind of a ghost, right? This is, see, whenever the person get dead, then they may get whatever the particular area is there, in that they are burying this body of the person. After some days, whatever the degradable tissues, cells are there, they will all get degrade, right? And what is remaining? Only the bones are remaining, skeleton is remaining, right? So as it is buried maybe 3 feet 4 feet down, after some time maybe the soil get erode, or due to any reason, suppose the skeleton comes up, right, upper surface very close to the superficial layer of the soil, then what happened? You know that our bones are there and teeth are there, that is a huge storehouse of phosphorus and calcium, right? So huge amount of phosphorus we found in our bone. So whenever such a skeleton comes on the superficial surface of the soil, means automatically they comes in the contact of air, means oxygen. And as you know, the phosphorus is vigorously reacting with the oxygen whenever this skeleton or the bones which has a huge amount of phosphorus come in contact with the atmospheric oxygen, they shows reaction with them and they start burning, right? And this is what seen by some of the peoples. And so many masalas will be added in that, and a very nicely ghost story will be made and said to you, right? So ghost and that something will not be like that in the universe. Don't keep a faith on this. This is whatever we are seeing is a science. Understand? So we have seen the two metals. One is the sodium, which is reacting with the oxygen and water. So we are storing them in the kerosene, right? And one non-metal is there, phosphorus, which is showing vigorous reaction with the oxygen, but it does not show such vigorous reaction with the water. So we store phosphorus in a water, right? So this is what we have seen, the metals and non-metals reaction with the water. See here. Reaction with the water, metals, sodium, it shows reaction with the water, sodium hydroxide plus release of hydrogen gas is there, right? Magnesium reacts with the water to form magnesium hydroxide, Mg plus H2O, water, right? Magnesium plus water gives magnesium hydroxide, right? Mostly non-metals do not react with the water, but one we have seen the phosphorus, it shows reaction, vigorous reaction with the oxygen, but it does not show any kind of reaction with the water, so it is stored in the water. So this is what we have seen. So today we have seen the chemical properties of the metals and non-metals, right? So in that we have seen the reaction of metals and non-metals with the oxygen and reaction of metals and non-metals with the water, right? Both metal and non-metal react with oxygen to form their respective oxides. Metal oxides are basic in nature, non-metal oxides are acidic in nature. Now the reaction with the water, in that we have seen that metals reacts with the water and forms their respective hydroxides, right? And non-metal do not show reaction with the water, right? So these 3-4 points are there that you keep in your mind. Related to that, whatever the reactions are there, please write these 2-3 times and practice it very nicely, right? If you have any doubt, write in comment box. If you don't have any doubt, like the video and complete your notes. All the best.